Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker, and with me, 3 state champions from indoor track and field. Haley Wright, who is making me nervous as can be, Micah Danyo, and Darren Harmon. Welcome to the show, and congratulations on your accomplishments last week. Darren, let me start with you because we didn't get to talk about you last week because your state championship came on Tuesday night, and this is one that for you was a long time coming, and they say that if something happens to you, you should probably forget about it if it's something that's not good. But for you, you did the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Losing by like that much in cross country, you focused everything on the 3200 and you came back and you absolutely dusted your nemesis. I'm saying that, you're not, but a huge win in the 3200. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk a little about that.
So after cross country, I was so focused on that 2 mile, and I was so, just driven by that loss at cross country to, get better and improve and actually win a state title. Come indoor season, the 3200, I feel like it's my better event of the two between that and the mile. And honestly, I wanted to take one home, and Matt Bennett's a great runner. I can't take anything away from him, but I just really wanted to take one home for me, and that was a game plan.
And what's it mean to you to have run the fastest time of any guy across all the classifications in the 3200?
Oh, it's great. It just shows that I'm at a new level of running in that, I'm still improving, and I've still got a ways to go, but, I've come a long way, and, to be up there with the best, it's a great feeling.
Yeah. And Micah, last year for you, it seemed like you were so close so many times.
Yeah.
And this year you come back, go to the state championships, and you come back with 2 state titles. The 500 seemed to be a little bit easier than the 800 perhaps. Let's talk about that 800 because you had a guy right on your heels almost the whole way, and he may have gotten ahead of you by just a little bit at one point, but you were able to hold him off.
I mean, the whole race, I just want to take it for myself because I knew that these guys have a kick, especially Malik Jackson from that place. And when I saw him pass me, I kind of went into panic mode. I was like, no, I'm not losing this. I got to go now. And I had it in me, and I was able to just take it home.
Why was this year different than last year for you? What changed between then and this year that made you a state champion?
Probably the training and the miles every week, and just especially when the winter storm came in, just getting on the treadmill. And also I went to Will Merritt's house, my friend there, and just getting mile after mile on there. I actually ran 12 miles the week before state, and I was just like, I'm ready to go.
Did it mess with you at all that it was postponed by 1 week?
A little bit. I was ready to go, but I had to adjust to that, and I was ready to go and win 2 gold medals.
And how different is it this year winning the individual state championships that you won versus being part of a state championship winning team? Is it a little bittersweet in that respect?
A little bittersweet. We did want the state championship as a team, but it's also nice to win 2 gold medals by yourself. I mean,
yeah, I think the smile on your face certainly tells that story, no question about it. You won't apologize for that, and you don't have to, quite frankly. Haley, just a tremendous day for you at States. And I think lots of times, and I said this to Dan Kaufman on the show last week, I said, our expectations for Haley are just that it's a given, that she's going to go out there and do that. Does that make that tough for you, that people just expect you to win these races?
A little bit. I mean, I definitely feel a little bit of pressure just because everybody's expecting me to do certain things. But going into the meet, I knew I just had to focus on myself and not let other people's expectations get to my head and just, do what I do best.
Now, when you see me standing there with a camera and I'm focusing on you at the start of a race, are you just thinking to yourself, do you really have to keep shooting me this much?
No, I like it. I mean, I'm not too focused on that at the moment, but.
Okay, well, nobody's ever too focused on me, so that's perfectly fine. I mean, that's the way I live my life. I mean, that's generally the way it goes. But let's talk seriously about the 1600.
Yeah.
And setting a 1A state record there. What went into making that happen? Because you weren't really pushed tremendously in that race, and you knew that you had to save something for what was still to come.
Yeah. I think the first half was just all adrenaline, and then the last half, I think what was pushing me the most was just that this is my last indoor, state meet. This is it. I want to leave it all on the track. And you know, just running against the clock, I imagined someone like in front of me the whole time. So it really pushed me a lot.
And going to the University of Alabama next
Yeah.
year, I mean, how has that helped you and kind of put your mind at ease in everything that you're doing? Has that taken something out of the equation for you that's made it a little easier for you to concentrate on just getting out there and running and performing?
Oh, definitely. I mean, just knowing where I'm going and where my future is going to be at definitely like kind of makes things a little bit easier for me. And every time I step on that track now, I know like not only am I representing Boonesboro, but I'm going to be representing Alabama as well. So it's a really good feeling.
And congratulations on the team championship
Thank
too.
you.
That has to be a great way to go out.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I'm really proud of everyone, and I think we're definitely, you know, have more to come outdoors.
Yeah, for sure. And Darren, where does the next level take you? I know you still have the outdoor season ahead, but where are you headed from here?
After high school, I'm not too sure yet. I'm still talking to some coaches. So for that fact, I'm not sure, but I certainly will keep running, and no matter where I go, and you know, that's just what I want to keep doing. I want to keep running no matter what, and just keep improving.
Yeah, well, we've certainly seen that. Mike, what are your future plans at this point?
I'll be going to Pennsylvania, Geneva College in Beaver Creek near Pittsburgh. So that's where I'm going.
Well, awesome. Well, congratulations to all of you guys, and best of luck ahead. And again, state championships, they don't just hand them out. Obviously, you earn them. And again, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be back right after this, continuing with wrestling and Andy Mason in just a moment.
This is our home. It's where we've all decided to put down roots and raise families, not because we had to, because we wanted to. And as a business owner, you pour every ounce of energy into doing what's right for you in this community, and you won't and you don't stop until you get what you want, and neither do we. We're Antietam Cable Productions, and it's time to stand up and be seen and heard. You have a voice, and we'll help you tell your story. Antietam Cable Productions, putting the beat into the heart of your business.
Satellite dishes were supposed to be better than cable. Service and installation was a real headache. There was no on-demand, no internet, no phone service. Not to mention that pesky long-term contract with all those hefty cancellation fees. They even said it was going to cost less than cable. Still thinking about satellite TV? Antietam Cable, the better choice.
Well, Eric and I worked for a long time together in the corporate restaurant world, and we decided that we wanted to put the fun back into food.
We do our food our way. You know, we take the traditional and spin it.
We change our menu regularly. We have specials that are creative. Great food, great service in a warm and friendly environment where you can be in jeans and a t-shirt next to someone in a business suit and everyone feels comfortable.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We continue now with wrestling, and we're getting right down to the nitty-gritty. The region tournaments were held last Saturday, and Andy Mason is here with me to talk about those. You saw the 2A, 1A championships, the West region, at Garrett College, and 3 region champions from the county come out of that one.
Yeah, 3 seniors. Kobe Baker from Williamsport last year was our only champion at the tournament. He repeated as the 182-pound champ, dominated his bracket. Bryce Scott, who was the runner-up last year at 195, pinned everyone, pinned his way through at 220 to get the title for Smithsburg. And another Williamsport senior, Justin Beckley, third the last 2 years in the region. This year he gets the title with an overtime victory over a kid, Tom Boldosser from South Carroll, who had defeated Beckley earlier this year. I think the score is 4-2 at the Iron Horse Duels. Beckley comes back, beats him 8-6 in overtime, and all 3 of those guys are heading states as region champs.
Yeah, it was a good day for the county overall. 10 qualifiers coming out of the county for states from 2A, 1A West.
And another 9 from 4A, 3A North.
Yeah,
back to the West. Yeah, so
right.
Williamsport has got 5, Smithsburg 3, Boonesboro 2.
Yeah, so all around, good day, as we said.
Sending 19 kids to states
Yes.
is a nice number for the county.
Yeah, I think the county certainly will be well represented.
And
there.
a lot of those kids, a lot of years, you're just happy to be there. We have a lot of kids going down there who aren't just going to be happy to be there, and they're not just going to be happy to place. We have a lot of kids who are going there to with title hopes, or at least hopes of getting into those finals.
Yeah, and if 4A, 3A North was any indication, just ultra competitive there. Of the 14 championship finals bouts, 8 were decided by no more than 2 points, 3 went to overtime, and just 2 ended in pinfall victories. And North Hagerstown has 5 wrestlers, or had 5 wrestlers in the championship round there. 3 of those win titles. Brian Stewart, along with Aaron Brooks, 2 guys that you might suspect would win titles, being defending state champions. But then Dalton Tiffany, who has suddenly, seemingly come out of nowhere since he's dropped down to 106, also wins a region title for North.
Oh yeah, I mean Tiffany is a great story. Definitely an above-average wrestler all year at 113, but now he's a big boy at 106. These kids, I'm sure, feel pretty light to him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way to go. I mean, there's no question about it. And I thought, too, we had a couple of wrestlers from Washington County who went in there undefeated this season, and both of those guys come out with defeats and wind up being runners-up in their respective weight classes.
Yeah, well, Isaiah Brooks, as you were there, 145 final, he loses a heartbreaker in overtime to DeAndre Reed from Digital Harbor. You're probably looking, those guys very well can meet for the state title. Might go the other way this time.
And I don't think there's any question that Isaiah will certainly be motivated by redemption in a couple of ways, because in a bizarre occurrence in that region match, he truly lost track of the score, because when he pulled off a late takedown, he thought that he had taken a 3-2 lead, and even at the end, he got up, took his headgear off, and was waiting to get his hand raised, but was informed that the bout was tied 3-3, and he would ultimately lose then on a takedown in sudden victory overtime.
And then Brandon Nagati. I wasn't there. I saw a video of that match. Nagati looked like the better wrestler. He just, gave up some points early, got caught in a cradle. And, if he faces that kid again, I'd pick Nagati. But he's got, he might face this monster kid from Poolesville in the state quarters on Friday. And, just by losing, what was the score, 7-6, just by suffering that loss doesn't set him up well in the bracket. But he's a great wrestler, 4th last year at States. He's better this year. I certainly would not count him out. He's definitely one of the kids from the county going down there thinking, I want to win this thing.
And a guy who will be saying the same thing, and obviously has before, is Brian Stewart, whose region title bout victory at 120 was not without controversy. He was actually accused by Linganor's head coach of suplexing his guy, Earl Blake, which resulted in an injury, although no punishment was doled out by the referee. So I asked Coach Slick afterwards if Stewart had done anything wrong, and he said the return to the mat was questionable because you have to protect your opponent's safety, but he was far less pleased with Stewart's actions after the move. But, and not to condone them, I kind of believe that they were aimed at the hostile crowd there that had booed him lustily even before that move. I think the worst thing that happened for Stewart was that he was taken down early in the match, and then the crowd got behind the underdog.
He doesn't get taken down very often.
No,
in fact,
I
don't know if it's happened this season. I haven't seen all of his matches, but I haven't seen him taken down all year.
No, and he came back with a vengeance and won his match by the largest margin of victory of anybody there in 4A, 3A North in the championship finals, and I think learned a lot in that particular match, remains undefeated. And Aaron Brooks, in winning his particular match, again, just continues to be the nemesis for the kid from Oakdale.
Yeah, Logan McCoy, who's a great wrestler. You watch them, they're so good, But yeah, Brooks is, he's 3-0 against him. My crystal ball shows those 2 guys in the state final. And, my money's on Brooks again. I think, it's really tough to beat someone 4 times in a season, but I think Brooks if he faces him again, is going to win again. He's the better wrestler.
I think another great story that came out of 4A, 3A North is really Alex Darr of North Hagerstown. The season that he's had, the broken arm.
Yeah, around Christmas, I think a lot of people thought that's it for him.
Right.
He's done. It happened, I think, a week before Christmas. He broke his arm. And, a lot of people thought, I think the doctor said you're probably done. But not only was he not done, he's going to States.
Yeah, and he lost relatively early on and then had to fight his way back.
Right, and that's tough to do.
Yeah, and winds up as the 3rd place finisher for North Hagerstown there. Also joining Alamzan Yakazov and Ryan Montez as guys from North Hagerstown who will be headed on to States now. And this year, for anybody who's been to States over the last, what was it? How many years was it at Cole Fieldhouse?
At Cole Fieldhouse, I think the first year was 04, and then all the way to last year. So I guess that was 12 straight state tournaments.
And that's changed now.
Yeah, we're going to be at the Showplace Arena in Upper Marlboro. I'll be there. It'll be my first time there. Yours too.
Yeah, certainly. You're planning on being there on Friday.
I plan to be there Friday, definitely Saturday, and I hope to get there Friday as well.
And everything begins Friday, 2:30. First match is 8 mats altogether. Should be interesting at a new venue. But as you said, we've got a lot of county wrestlers who are looking to come back with some of that state hardware.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And is there a possibility that we could have a team win something? Does North have enough wrestlers in there with what
North
Oakdale
has enough.
has on
You
the
know,
other side?
when North won it all 2 years ago, you know, they have a team right now that's just as good, maybe, you know, it's just as good as that team that won 2 years ago. But has the potential to score that many points. But, you know, you have Damascus out there, Oakdale out.
Right.
You know, last year North was state runner-up to Damascus at the tournament. Even though they had a better tournament than the year before when they won. They scored more points last year, but Damascus was just so good. But yeah, North has at least 3 kids going down there who title contenders.
Yeah,
You got the Brooks brothers and Stewart. You know, those guys are going down there to win titles. You know, Dalton Tiffany, I don't know what he can do there.
Yeah, we're going to find out.
And they have some other kids who can score points, but they have the potential to score a lot of points. It's just a matter, you know, we don't know how many Damascus can score or how many Oakdale's going to score. A lot of it depends on other teams. It's not like head-to-head like duels, you know.
Exactly.
But they have the star power to score points.
Well, we will.
And Williamsport could score a lot of points too.
There's no question
now,
about
but
that.
South Carroll's, I can't see any. No one's going to beat them. They had half their lineup in the region finals, 7 kids in the finals.
Yeah, well, that's the way it seemed. 4A, 3A North seemed like Oakdale was in every single final too. But best of luck to our county wrestlers this weekend at States. Andy, thank you very much.
Thank you, Wes.
I'll be back right after this. Boys basketball up next on the show in just a moment.
Antietam Cable's WCL-TV invites you to take a tour of local restaurants from the comfort of your couch with our local dining guide, airing now. Your host, Sam Little, goes beyond just the dining room and sits down with local owners and chefs to talk about what makes their restaurants local favorites. We explore the best of American cuisine, head south of the border for a little heat, and travel over the Atlantic for some of Italy's best. Washington County is a hotspot for great food, and we're showing you what you've been missing with WCL-TV's local dining guide, airing now on Channel 30 and in HD on Channel 489. Don't give in to the winter blahs when bad weather hits. Sleet, ice, and snow days are perfect days to cuddle up with Antietam Cable. Antietam Digital Cable offers a huge selection of on-demand movies and shows to watch when you're snowed in. It's like having a multiplex movie theater right in your own home. Ordering is simple. Go to Channel 1 to make your selection, and your choice plays instantly. Pause, fast forward, rewind. You're in control. Stay warm, stay inside, and make Snow Day Movie Day with video on demand from Antietam Cable.
Welcome back to the show. It's time for basketball now, and in the boys' playoffs, action commenced last Friday with the 2 Hagerstown schools tipping off in respective 3A West Section 2 quarterfinals. 5th-seeded South fought back from an early 17-4 deficit, outscoring Frederick 51-34 over the game's final 25 minutes to fend off the 4-seed 55-51. It was the Rebels' 3rd victory over Frederick in 13 days. Meanwhile, 3rd-seeded North used the opposite approach to advance at the expense of 6th-seeded Thomas Johnson. The Hubs jumped out to an 11-point first-quarter cushion and closed the game with an explosive 29-point fourth period that bookended a run-and-gun, runaway 72-48 win in which 11 Hubs joined the scoring parade. Malik Carey led the way to Monday's section semi at Tuscarora, netting a team-high 21 points. Unfortunately, it was an entirely different result against the 2-seed for North Hagerstown. The Hub season ended the same way it began, with a loss at Tuscarora. Hot shooting by the Titans staked them to an early lead the Hubs could never erase in a 60-48 setback that finishes North's year at 16-7, with 4 of those losses to Frederick County schools, a fate South was all too familiar with heading into its Section 2 semi at top-seeded Linganore. And after Monday, the Rebels see the Hubs' 4 losses to teams from the county to our east, and they raise them 1. Scoring just 4 points in an 11-minute span bridging the second and third quarters doomed South to loss number 5. The Rebels season concludes with an overall record of 13-11 after a 54-35 defeat. In 1A West, a pair of county teams were eliminated in the quarterfinals there last Friday. In Section 1, 5th-seeded Hancock dropped a 77-32 decision at number 4 Southern Garrett. The 4-18 Panthers end the year 0-10 in games in which they mustered 40 points or fewer. Over in Section 2, 4-seeded Smithsburg couldn't contain the three-point shooting of the 5-seed North Carroll, who made 9 as the Leopards fell 59-50 and closed the season 6-17. Monday night in the semis, all the firepower came courtesy of top-seeded Clear Spring as the Blazers, with point guard Jarrett Lozich returning from an ankle injury to run the show, battered North Carroll 81-41. Clear Spring shot nearly 59% from the field as a team, with Spencer Schultz hitting 77% of his shots en route to a game-high 43 points. Joey Fisher, who earlier in the day, surrounded by his family, signed on the dotted line with Towson University to play football, scored 11 points and grabbed 10 rebounds to keep his high school basketball career alive. Clear Spring will host third-seeded Brunswick, a team the Blazers lost to by 22 points 2 weeks ago without Lozich in the section final. Brunswick ousted second-seeded Boonesboro 60-55 on Monday, beating the Warriors for the second time this season on their home floor and ending their year with a mark of 9-14. In 2A West, after earning an opening round bye, second-seeded Williamsport swung into action on Leap Night in a Section 1 semifinal. The Wildcats entered the game against third-seeded Mountain Ridge, winners of 7 of their last 8, and turned in their second-best defensive effort of the season, and that allowed the late-arriving Cats offense to settle in. After trailing 18-16 at the half, Williamsport outscored Mountain Ridge 35-19 after intermission to pull away to a 51-37 victory that puts the Wildcats in Wednesday night's section title tilt at top-seeded Middletown. Williamsport will go in with plenty of incentive, having dropped 2 regular season matchups with the Knights. And just for the record, Williamsport is the last county school to play for a boys state championship, having made it all the way to the final in 2011. But the last county state title came all the way back in 1974 when South Hagerstown captured the crown. Now, while a 15-year championship drought might pale in comparison to one of the 41-year variety, St. James was no less motivated on Sunday in the Mid-Atlantic Conference Tournament Championship game at Sidwell Friends. After holding off Sidwell to win the regular season league title, the top-seeded Saints were out to prove their superiority. St. James's last loss had come on January the 19th on the same floor to the same team, but the Saints had proven to be anything but that same team since. And with sophomore Bryce Golden making every effort to keep St. James's momentum rolling, outscoring the Quakers by himself in the first quarter, popping for 10 points, including 6 in a 48-second stretch, the Saints sprinted away from a 5-5 tie and opened up a 19-9 lead after the opening 8 minutes. St. James followed that up by starting the second period on an 11-2 run that stretched its advantage to 19, and with Bryce adding 8 more points in the quarter, the Saints continued to roll. While Sidwell did trim the St. James lead to 7 on a couple of occasions in the second half, the Saints were never really threatened as Bryce finished with a game-high 25 points, and older brother Grant Golden did a little of everything, putting up 18 and 11 with 6 assists and 4 blocks. And when the clock reached 000, St. James celebrated a 66-57 victory, its 12th straight and 23rd of the year, earning the Saints the right to pose for pictures with the MAC Tournament Championship banner for the first time since 2001. Congratulations to Coach Preet and his guys, who will host the resurrected St. James Invitational Tournament starting a week from Thursday. Well, stay where you are. Girls postseason hoops come your way next.
Satellite dishes were supposed to be better than cable. Service and installation was a real headache. There was no on-demand, no internet, no phone service. Not to mention that pesky long-term contract with all those hefty cancellation fees. They even said it was going to cost less than cable. Still thinking about satellite TV? Antietam Cable, the better choice.
Tony's Pizza in Williamsport has had the same simple philosophy since 1985. Start with simple products. Sauce from the best Italian tomatoes. The best cheese and dough made fresh every day. Then mix those with a great atmosphere, and you'll have the best dining experience you can find. Tony's is known for their pasta dishes, subs, pizzas, and specialty items like their Nutella Dots and the famous Crazy Tony. Simply put, they want to give the best food they can give to their customers. So stop in today to Tony's Pizza in Williamsport.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. In the girls' state hoops tournament, 4 county teams started play last weekend, but by the time Saturday had ended, so had the seasons of half of those teams. Clear Spring and South Hagerstown were each one and done. Clear Spring fell in a 1A West Section 2 quarterfinal to North Carroll 41-37, and South lost at Thomas Johnson in a 3A West Section 2 quarter 70-34. Conversely, 2 county schools survived and advanced, with survived being the key word for North Hagerstown, who entered its 3A West Section 2 opener without the services of leading rebounder Anna Scheck, and then had to persevere for a stretch of the third quarter minus injured star Natalie Carlin. There was that and a relentless fourth quarter rally by 5th-seeded Tuscarora, who even with 5 players fouling out, grabbed a 57-56 lead with just 14.8 seconds remaining. It was then sophomore Lexi Pate, not Carlin, who rescued North, going the length of the floor to hit the shot that sent the 4th-seeded Hubs onto Tuesday's section semifinal at top-seeded Frederick. However, there was to be no celebration there as North suffered a decisive season-ending 88-38 setback. Now, back to Friday night and back to 1A West Section 2. In the other quarterfinal in that bracket, 4th-seeded Smithsburg built an early lead on a foundation that featured its defense and the three-point shooting of Catherine Thorne, who hit 3 triples in the first half as the Leopards went on to turn a 30-17 edge through 2 quarters into a 58-34 victory over 5th-seeded Brunswick, one that moved them into a section semi at number 2 seed Boonesboro, who welcomed one of its injured guards, Ellie Connolly, back to action after a 5-game absence. The teams that split their regular season meetings in Tuesday's playoff contest did little to separate themselves from each other again, especially in the decisive fourth quarter. Smithsburg and Boonesboro started the period tied at 32, and during the 8-minute stanza, the Leopards and Warriors proceeded to trade the lead 8 times. This exchange, with under a minute and a half remaining, typified the quarter, with Erica Lindsay putting Smithsburg in front 48-47, but only until Camilla Miller could get to the basket at the other end for Boonesboro. 31 seconds later, it was the Leopards' Morgan Henderson who refused to be denied, tying the game for the 4th time in the frame, knotting the score at 50. Then, out of a timeout with 23.4 seconds left in regulation, the Warriors' Miller missed with the shot clock winding down, but Sydney Stotler's hustle knocked the loose ball into Ashley Oaks' hands, and she knocked down the go-ahead jumper with 14 seconds to go. Smithsburg had one last chance with under 5 seconds showing, but Haley Bechtel's long 3 wouldn't go, and Boonesboro held on to win 52-50, earning a trip to top-seeded Manchester Valley to compete for the section title on Thursday. Getting to the 2A West Section 1 title game was the reward awaiting the winner of Tuesday's semifinal between 3rd-seeded Mountain Ridge and 2nd-seeded Williamsport. The Wildcats prided themselves in playing tough defense all throughout the regular season and started the postseason the same way, shutting out Mountain Ridge for the first half of the opening period. The offense showed some signs of an 11-day layoff, but in the end, there was some to go around for most everyone as point production came from 10 different sources. Williamsport went on to collect its 18th win of the season, 58-42, and will attempt to avenge one of its 4 losses Thursday night at top-seeded Walkersville, who, oh, by the way, held Middletown to a scant 23 points in its section semi-victory. Although 23 would have seemed like a jackpot of points to Hancock, the 3rd-seeded Panthers put up just 13 in a 49-point exit from the playoffs at the hands of 2nd-seeded Allegheny in a 1A West Section 1 semifinal. So, just to reiterate where we stand through Tuesday, 2 county girls teams and 2 county boys teams remained alive in basketball's second season. Results and recaps of fates and fortunes ahead next week pertaining to the hardwood and the mats, with the state wrestling titles at stake on Saturday. But before I leave you, Tuesday was truly super this week, and not because of primary elections across our great country, but because it was Justin Bieber's birthday. Happy 22nd to the Biebs, who celebrated by going snowboarding in California. I commemorated the occasion by singing Love Yourself 22 consecutive times, which is why I can say, if you're hating on me about that right now, my mama don't like you, and she likes everyone. She does like you watching our little show, though, and so do I. In fact, I'm grateful. Thanks for doing it this time, and I hope you'll do it again next week. I'll see you then on The Inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets.